Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stupid Ideas from Bad Creative, Season 2, Episode 1. This time we are tackling the 90s, and I'm joined by Sid. Hello, Sid. And
Hey guys.
as you can tell, we are in we're doing it a bit different. Why is that, Sid?
Well, I'm not at the same end of the country as Jake anymore.
No.
Jake's still down there in Victoria, and I'm over here in WA.
Yeah. So for Season 2, at least, possibly even Season 3, depending on when you get back,
Mm.
we'll be doing it like this, which is fine. It doesn't matter, except for the fact
Yeah.
that you're about 24 hours behind me, which means that when we say 4 o'clock, it actually means 6 o'clock. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into it. We are doing episode 1 of season 2 or episode 11, all up. It's the higher power, which for those of you who know about the higher power will know that the picture I'm sitting in front of is the higher power. So um, let's go with Sid. Do you know who the Undertaker is?
Of course.
What about Triple H?
Yeah.
Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Yes.
What about Farouk?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, we've definitely touched on that.
Okay. What about Stephanie McMahon?
Yes.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
100%.
Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
All right. Some of those are relevant. Some of them are not.
Okay. All right.
Let's get into it. So, The Higher Power is a storyline that took place in 1999. So, we're starting at the end of the 90s.
Of the 90s, yeah, we're sort of working our way.
Yeah. Well, we're going to jump everywhere. But yeah, so it's about The Undertaker. And he had
Okay.
a faction called the Ministry of Darkness,
Of course.
which um,
With me.
it featured Paul Bearer, the Acolytes, which is Bradshaw and Farouk. Obviously, it had Taker as well. The Acolytes later became the APA, which is the Acolytes Protection Agency. Also had Midian, Viscera, and the Brood, which was Gangrel, Edge, and Christian. That was
Yeah.
the main group when he formed it. And they started a feud eventually with Vince McMahon and the corporation, which had Vince, obviously, Shane McMahon, The Rock, Pat Patterson, Gerald Briscoe, Big Show, Test, Big Boss Man, Ken Shamrock, and a few others.
They're a little outnumbered.
Yeah. So the reason behind this feud was because Undertaker wanted to control WWE. Okay. Also, I'm going to be jumping between WWE and WWF because that's
90s.
just what's going to happen. Undertaker also at this point says that he's taking orders from the higher power. So at WrestleMania 15, Undertaker beats and then hangs the Big Boss Man from the cell. They literally dropped a noose in there and hung him.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was fun. I'll tell you what, the Brood actually dropped the noose down for it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, next month at Backlash, Taker beats Ken Shamrock, and the Ministry kidnaps Stephanie. On Raw the next night, Taker tries to marry Stephanie before sacrificing her. That was after Shamrock and Big Show failed to rescue her. So Vince decides, I need my daughter back.
Of course.
Naturally. And says, hey, Stone Cold, you know how we're in a feud? Can you go and rescue my daughter? So Austin does that. He helps
We're just gonna cut previous storylines and focus on this one.
Well, not really, because Austin's still like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
This is still a thing, but your daughter probably doesn't deserve to be sacrificed.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's reasonable, I suppose. At this, who does Steph wind up in a relationship with?
Um, Eventually Triple H,
Okay.
but there's some stuff to get to that point. Like
Okay.
there's a there's a marriage to Test. There's a drugging,
Uh-huh.
a marriage to Triple H, and a turn, and then an actual marriage. Triple H drugs her and marries her while she's unconscious, and
Mhm.
that screws up the marriage between Steph and Test, and yeah, there's a whole thing to that. Let's not get into it.
There's a whole thing to that. All right.
Yeah. So with Austin now helping Vince, they're going to try and get rid of the ministry.
Mhm.
Around this time, Shane McMahon takes over the corporation from Vince and merges it with the ministry. Because, yep. So,
Why would the ministry agree to that?
well, because Shane McMahon's their boss now.
Yeah.
So
But
Shane says, let's do this.
if Taker's trying to take over,
Yep. Well, best be on the side that's going to take over then, eh?
I suppose, yeah.
So now this new faction is a mega faction called the Corporate Ministry. And they say that they're
Not a bad name.
they're taking orders from, and they're going to reveal the higher power. So
Ah,
on June 7th, 1999, we get the reveal of the higher power. If you had to guess anybody in the world, who do you reckon that would be? Have three guesses.
Vince, Taker, Steph.
All right. So you've actually got it right in there.
Uh-huh.
So what you say is that Stephanie McMahon orchestrated herself to be kidnapped and sacrificed to the higher power while being the higher power. Undertaker, who was doing all this for the higher power, despite being the higher power, or Vince McMahon orchestrating all this and being the higher power.
Checks out, yeah.
Yeah. Correct answer is it's Vince.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Shock. Oh, we never saw that coming.
How much sense does that make? Absolutely none. So
Mm.
the person I'm actually sitting in front of is Vince. He's wearing the high power hood. He takes it off and it was me, Austin. It was me all along. As Vince does. Um, Vince is apparently doing this to get back at Austin because they're enemies. Right, this is after
Huh?
Linda and Steph gave Austin their shares in WWE, which was 25% each, so 50% of the
Mm.
company. Linda also stepped down as CEO, and so that allowed Austin to be able to take over, sort of, and
Yeah,
punish
he's almost
Vince.
got a majority share.
Yeah. So, at King of the Ring, the McMahons, Shane and Vince, took on Austin in a winner takes all handicap ladder match. It became a ladder match after Big Boss Man lost a match to Austin, allowing Austin to pick the stipulation. Undertaker took on The Rock for the WWF title at King of the Ring. He won that. Austin lost, so Vince and Shane now run WWE, so nothing's changed.
Of
Big
course
Boss Man also was kicked out of the corporate ministry, which happened when he lost that match to Austin. However, he rejoins the faction after King of the Ring because he helped. Just as Austin was about to win, he raised the briefcase. It's never actually been confirmed who did it, but Bossman was sort of the one that
yeah.
it's commonly known did it. Also, later in the night, during the night, the Acolytes lost their tag titles to the Hardys, and Austin, while he was still the CEO, booked himself in a match against Undertaker for the title, which he ends up winning at Fully Loaded on the 25th of July. It was a first blood match, which had the added stipulations that if Taker wins, Austin can't challenge for the title ever again. But if Taker
shit.
loses, Vince is gone from WWF. Austin won, obviously. Also on the fully loaded card, we had Triple H beating The Rock to become number one contender, Big Boss Man winning the Hardcore title, and the Acolytes regaining their tag titles.
Mhm.
By the end of July, Taker and the McMahon's relationship deteriorated so much that it all just disbanded. On August 2nd, it was all gone.
Yeah. So we've got a period of
We've got a period of, well, it was June 7th when they revealed Vince was the higher power. And by August 2nd, it was done.
right 3-4 weeks.
About 8.
There's a whole nother. There's July in there.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, there's July in there.
Yep.
So,
Yep. My bad.
well, technically it started in April with WrestleMania. That's when Undertaker hung
Yeah.
Boss Man. But, you know.
Mm.
So, it's a few months. But basically, just to sum it up, because there's a lot to it, Undertaker goes dark, decides to take WWF from Vince. Says he's got the higher power. Eventually, he kidnaps Steph. Vince gets Austin to save her. Shane then undercuts Vince and steals the corporation and merges it. Vince then becomes the higher power. And yeah, that's basically it. Then it's just Austin versus Vince.
So I mean, all this wouldn't be too bad if someone other than Vince was revealed to be the higher power.
Yes.
Because he's basically it's
what he's
it's
done.
like one of those it's like one of those movies where the villain is almost obvious at the start, but they go so out of the way to make that villain not obvious that's when it's revealed that they are in fact the villain, you're like, that doesn't make sense now because you've gone too far. Like having himself beaten in a few different ways and also having Steph kidnapped just so he can hire Austin to save her, but it was his thing in the first place. It doesn't like it's like, ooh, burn to Austin. You got him to do what you asked him to, I suppose. Like at best.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Also, Stephanie wasn't in on it. Steph didn't know what was going on. So he's had Shane undercut him to take the ministry and merge take the corporation and merge it with the ministry.
Yeah, did Shane know he was taking orders from Vince?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Like, none of it makes any damn sense for it to be Vince.
No. No.
And that's the issue here, is that it's a great storyline. Undertaker's taken like one of the big
WWE,
stars.
like,
yeah.
Because at this point he's peak, right? This is like peak Undertaker, or maybe towards the end a little bit?
No, this
or towards the start.
Technically, Undertaker's peak didn't come until the mid 2000s.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
but he started in the late 80s.
Yes, he was wrestling in the late 80s, but he became the Undertaker in 1990.
Yeah, okay.
He joined WWE in 1990, and so this is 9 years after his debut.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been there for a while. He's a big star.
When did his undefeated streak start?
Oh, jeez. It's already going at this point.
Yeah, so that's what I think that's what I was sort of leaning towards. Yeah. He's big enough to the point that, like, for him to try and take over isn't wild.
No.
It's not like he's unheard of. If that would be another bad thing if they'd use someone unheard of to do this.
Yeah.
Crazy. But for Taker to try and do this, it checks out.
Yeah. So, it's a big star. that is believable, and he's taking orders from a mystery person.
Mm.
Could be anybody, you know. Could be an up and coming guy who they're going to push. Could be an old guy
Yeah.
returning. Could be anything, except for Vince. As long as it's not Vince. If it's Vince, this story don't make no damn sense.
Doesn't make sense.
If it's any of the McMahons, this don't make
if
sense.
if it's Vince, Austin, or Taker, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Or any of the McMahons, really. It could
yeah.
technically, you could spin it and have it be Linda, because she's getting back at Vince then.
But like you said, it would be better if this was a great way to reveal someone who was gonna be a villain for the next little while.
Yep.
Sort of bring them out, like a bigger person, someone who could carry,
Yeah.
this big villain energy, for at least a little bit.
Yeah, and it would, you also spin off, you'd have the ministry versus the corporation, because you wouldn't merge them.
No.
Which then would mean that you've got this big faction feud, which you can spin off into
tag team battle or something.
Yeah, well, you can do singles out of it. You can do tag team. You can do multi-man. You can Survivor Series is perfect for that sort of thing, because you've got the traditional Survivor Series 5-on-5s. So like, you can just do a full faction warfare thing. Except you've merged the two factions together and revealed the leader of the old faction is the leader of the new faction, who's also taking shots at himself while trying to get back at Stone Cold. It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't really,
But
yeah.
It does, if you know what you're talking about.
It
makes
does in the
perfect
sense that Vince has remained the center of attention as always.
Yes. But yeah, so I think we should probably rebook this then, shouldn't we?
You should. You really should. Please.
So it's pretty easy, I reckon. I think we can keep everything leading to the reveal. Might as well just keep all that. Doesn't change very much. I mean,
no.
The reveal is what makes everything come before it stupid.
Shit.
So, let's not have Vince be the high power. That's an easy way to rebook it. And I think that it's been said a lot because he's somebody who was considered to be the high power. I think we debut Christopher Daniels and make him the high power. Because he's really good, and as the high power, he makes sense because he's not Vince or Taker or Austin or Steph,
and that's
or Shane.
Really the criteria.
Yeah.
Does he have good villain energy? Like, could he?
Yeah, he could.
Yeah. He could carry that.
Yeah, he could.
Sweet.
Like, he's a bit of a smaller guy, but that's why having Undertaker as your henchman, it doesn't matter.
You can be a little villain. We can support that, right?
Yeah.
You can be scheming and conniving.
Yeah.
You don't have to be.
Undertaker's like an enforcer sort of thing as well, Like he's that big dude. So let's have it be Christopher Daniels, just for the sake of it being Christopher Daniels. He's debuting, so it gives you another star. So you have him calling all the shots, Taker's his main disciple. And you can have Christopher Daniels and Taker with the tag belts. Eventually the ministry runs its course. You can have CD, Christopher Daniels CD. You can have him win over Taker when they break up.
Yeah.
If you want. You can then push him to the top because he's beaten Undertaker, so he's top guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be CD. As long as it's somebody not involved in the storyline, basically, is my rebooking.
Yeah.
Just don't have it be somebody who's already in the storyline, and you're fine. You
Do
know,
you have another example?
Jake Roberts was also considered. He's
Okay.
somebody who was wrestling around in the 80s, so he's a bit of an older star. You can have him come back. He can be more of a manager sort of thing, but
Yeah.
he's calling all the shots. And
He
instead
wouldn't
of,
then beat Taker.
no, you don't even have
He
to have
would
him wrestle.
more, yeah, he'd more like, yeah, do the manager sort of thing. And then when they break up, it'd sort of be like,
Yeah,
screw you or something like that. Yeah.
like he can still take a bump at this point. So if they break up, you can have take a choke slam in or whatever. He's going his own way.
Yeah.
And then you can have Jake Roberts transition and manage somebody else or do something else. If he wanted to come back to wrestle, you can have him wrestle. It doesn't matter. But it gives you another top guy.
Mm.
Even though he's a manager, he's managed the Undertaker at this point, and you sort of run. Where I've booked CD to do everything that he did, you just have
Mm.
Undertaker do it. So
Yeah.
then Undertaker's won the world title. He's won tag titles. He's whatever. And then when they break up, Jake Roberts can go, well, I'll manage this person. And then they go and win a few things. So then I'll manage this
Mm.
person. However the hell you want to book it. You know, yeah. So, and then also at this point, Shane's taken over the corporation. So with it not being Vince who's running things, you can have Shane and Vince feud.
Mm.
You can also run Taker and Vince. You can run the high power versus Vince and Taker. Like, so whoever the high power is, Chris Daniels versus Vince versus Taker or whatever.
Mm.
You can also do high power and Undertaker versus Vince and Austin. If you wanted to keep them on the same page, you can do high power versus Austin because Austin got dragged into it. Like, there
Yeah.
is so many different things you can do
You can have
if
Austin
it's
turn
not
on
Vince.
Vince
Yes. You can have
and
Austin.
join the high
Yep.
power.
You can do that too, which would be very weird because you've got a heel Austin and a babyface
Yeah.
Vince.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
you know,
mm-mm.
Austin, who was all anti-establishment, is still anti-establishment, but the establishment's the good guy. But yeah, right.
Yeah.
Basically, you can run all these different opportunities. Different stories,
Yeah.
which can fill out years of programming if
And
you
it would
wanted
be
it to.
great. Like it would be good. Like we've rebooked some things before and it'd be like, okay, this would solve the problem.
Yeah.
But this would be so much better than the way they did it.
Yes, and I mean, if we think about the way that everything ran after this, we're in '99, so The Rock wins the Royal Rumble, and you do. Who do you do at WrestleMania? It was. Oh, it's WrestleMania 2000, so it's the four-way match. Oh, and Austin gets taken out later in the year as well, actually.
Mm.
So you can still run all that shit. Because we'll get to Austin getting taken out later in the year, later in the series. It's another episode because Austin gets hit by a car. Um, that's a funny story, but yeah. So you can still keep that happening and just have the higher power orchestrate that,
Mm.
which would solve a lot of issues in the actual booking. You can have The Rock win if you wanted to, or you can have Taker win if you wanted to keep Taker looking strong, whatever.
Yeah.
There's so many things that you can change leading up to 2000. You can run 2000 however you want then because we've changed everything. 2001 comes and that's when we're getting the invasion. So if you still got the
Mm.
ministry like walking around, the ministry going up against WCW would be
Useful,
good.
exciting, fun, and a good way to sort of close out the ministry potentially if you were
Possibly.
sick of them by that point.
Yeah. So basically, what this would do, what the rebooking would do, is it makes the story make sense.
Mm.
Number one, it would make a new star or add star power depending on how you booked it. creates a big moment because it's a big debut or a return or whatever.
Yeah.
It creates more money because the story's good, so people are going to tune in. People are going to buy the pay-per-view, buy the merch, buy everything.
Yeah.
Gives it actually could give a bit of precedent for the 2001 turn from Austin on McMahon, or with McMahon, I mean,
True.
because
Yeah.
you've got them working together for a bit, and it's not just
Yeah.
it's not Vince screwing with Austin because he's making Austin help him while orchestrating it. Like
Yeah.
Austin and Vince are actually working together for the good.
Mm.
So when Austin eventually turns heel on The Rock at WrestleMania X7, well, we've seen this happen before. If
Yeah.
if their needs align or wants, I guess, they can
Then
work together.
Austin and Vince can work together. Yeah.
Yes. So it makes that make a bit more sense. Um, and yeah, it could help with the invasion as well. Just yeah, basically that's how that would work. I think. Um, do you have anything you want to say on my booking?
Yeah, it just keeps getting like, I thought the original, you'd rebook who the higher power was, and then it'd be sort of like, oh, and this is why that's so great. But then it's just interlinked into so many more later things. Um, yeah, like we kept saying, the potential for so many better ideas to come out of it. Um, so many other things to improve because of it, including the invasion, which is something that we've fixed before. This could be added to it, and it would make it better again, sort of thing. Like it, yeah,
Yeah,
nuts. Yeah,
this sort of thing really shows how you can do something that seems, uh,
simple.
yeah, well, I don't know if this is simple, but and it affects so much more, because, you watch a movie, I mean, MCU is a
Mm,
bit different, but, you watch a movie and then you watch a sequel and it's sort of whatever. Sometimes they have nothing to
yeah,
do with each other, you know.
it is what it is.
You watch the MCU and everything sort of links together, but with wrestling, because it doesn't stop, this links to
Yeah,
this, which links to this, which links to this, and if you change that, then this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen, this does, this doesn't,
ev-
this does.
everything has a roll-on effect. Yeah,
Yeah. So
and in this case, everything seems to have lined up in a way that everything that has a roll-on of everything that this has a roll-on effect on seems to improve.
yes, because
Thanks to
it's
this.
because it's such a bad stuffer.
Yeah, but
Because
and such a straightforward thing. Like it's so easy to pinpoint the exact thing. It's not like the whole idea, like it has been in some previous things, and it hasn't been like this sort of complex way that they did it bad. It's literally like Vince put himself as the main character. He needed to not.
yeah,
That's it. Like it's as simple and as pure as that.
yeah,
Um, and yeah,
yeah. Literally, it was they booked the wrong person as the higher power. Book anybody
straight up.
else, and it changes everything. No, yeah, it's just so simple to fix, and it's so simple to book originally
Mm. It's just
that
like, oh, once again, we find ourselves saying, how did they not think of this at the time?
yeah, it's like going 1 + 1 = 53,
Yeah,
and everybody goes, yeah, sounds good. Yep,
sick.
yep,
How did
that's
everyone in the yeah, how did everyone in the room agree to this? Because Vince said so. Ah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. It'd be like letting your dog run anything. Let your dog run your bath for you and see how you go. You know.
yeah.
Somehow it just didn't work. I don't know.
Can't
Beyond me.
pinpoint what went wrong there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it might
Mm.
have. Wasn't the dog part?
Shock. Nah, not
Mm,
at all.
no,
Couldn't be.
no, I don't know. Maybe it was the bath. Maybe if we got him to run a shower, it would have
Yeah.
been better. But
If
with
only.
that, I think that brings us to the end of this episode of Stupid
It
Ideas. Yeah, such an easy concept goes horribly wrong when WWE books it, apparently. But yeah, tune in next week. Let's give them a preview of next week's episode, which, oh
Definitely.
yay, we're going back to the start of the 90s.
Let's go.
1990 to be exact. We've got the Goldie Gooker. Yep.
The name is terrible off the bat.
Yep.
So I guess we're gonna look forward to whatever that is.
Oh yeah, you got to look forward to this. Like, share, subscribe, channel, hit notification bell, follow Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Links to those are in the description. Let me know what you thought of this episode and how you would fix the higher power in the comment section down below. And other than that, thanks for watching. Sid, say goodbye.
Catch you later, guys.
And good night.